Hello there students, welcome back to this video series. This is your instructor GroupDiscussions talking about group discussions. In the previous lecture, we understood that what is meant by group discussion between few people where they discuss, share and come up with some ideas. And we also understood some of the strategies and purposes of group discussions. Today we would move further and try to understand what are different categories of group discussions in details. Group discussions, as the purpose suggests, can be of two major categories. Group discussions as in organizations, which is organizational group discussion, and group discussion as a part of selection process. We would study both of these in detail. And students, remember that group discussion is often abbreviated as GD and it is referred to as GD by many people. Starting with the organizational GD, which we would be talking about in great depth today. Organizational GD are group discussions within an organization where participants would be the people belonging to the organization, obviously the employees of the organization, okay, or the experts who are related to the organization or the chief executives of the organization. But majorly, they are the people who are related to the organization and not outside the organization. They are not yet to be recruited, they are already recruited. Remember this thing. Majorly, this type of discussions take place for three different purposes. To reach to a decision, as I have told you, to solve some problem at hand in the organization, or if they are designing some new product or new production process, to come up with new ideas for this new product, group discussions can be held. It can be between different people, between employees, customers, between investors, between the top shareholders, etc. But due to traditional hierarchy of organizations, this type of group discussion face some ultimate challenges of obviously office politics, favoritism of some people, informal relation between the employees, the fear of superiors, etc. And many a times, due to these reasons, instead of being objective, these group discussions get to be subjective. To make sure that these problems do not occur and group discussions take place smoothly, there are three different techniques which are utilized in organizational group discussion. Our today's agenda is just simple to understand these three techniques. That's it. Starting with the first technique first. Our first technique for organizational group discussion is brainstorming. What is meant by brainstorming and how brainstorming take place? Okay. Students, as the name suggests, the group discussion must be having a group of people. Here, group of people related to the organization or who are the employees of the organization are called upon in a meeting room or a conference room. They would be seated surrounding a table. They would be talking to each other, the normal chit chat, informal communication, until and unless a group leader arrives. A group leader is a person who would come inside the group discussion and who would lead this particular group discussion. This group leader would come in and introduce the topic or problem or the decision which is to be made today in this particular group discussion. Each and everyone would calmly, patiently listen to whatever the leader has to say. Leader will put forward the set of problems, the set of questions which these people have to deal with in this particular discussion. After the leader does so, each and everyone will try finding solutions and they will write these solutions down, note these solutions down in some material. It can be a whiteboard, blackboard, flip charts, flip notes, or just a piece of paper. In short, whatever they are thinking would be written down to make sure that there is some record and people do not forget what their ideas are. Everyone is given some amount of time in which these participants would write down these ideas. each and everyone is free to write down these ideas to how much ever length, and there is no restriction. They can come up with as many ideas as they can. They will write down all these ideas in the entire blackboard, and after that each and everyone will start discussing it openly. There is no restriction on discussion, but there is restriction on criticism. Brainstorming is very non-critical process. If someone criticizes ideas of someone else, it would lead to a problem, a junction where no new ideas will come up. People will feel shy, or people will feel judged upon if they are constantly criticized. So here criticism is a big no-no. You cannot criticize any ideas, and you cannot speak or badmouth any person in brainstorming. Once all the ideas are written and people are out of ideas or out of solutions, then further discussion would take place in one of the two methods, either storyboarding or lotus blossom. What is meant by storyboarding? In storyboarding, you would design a solution using set of pictures. Each and every idea, the giver of that idea will detail out that idea in form of pictures, presentations, or any type of graphical data. Hence the name storyboarding. They can use charts, they can use digital presentations, they can use tablets, they can use a mobile application, whatever they want. They are free to use. They would use such mediums, and they would explain their idea to other panel members. Each of the idea is discussed and it is put forward to the panel members in form of a storyboard, and after that they would come to a consensus. After all the ideas are discussed, they would try to solve one particular problem at hand. Once a problem is solved, they would move on to the next problem, and again the same thing takes place where all the ideas are discussed again. The best idea is chosen upon and is selected. This is when you ought to make a decision, or you ought to solve a problem. At that point of time, you would be using storyboarding along with brainstorming. But if you are brainstorming for finding a new product, or for using a new technology, or for some innovation, you would use lotus blossom technique along with brainstorming. What is lotus blossom? Students, here too all the ideas which are written on our blackboard would be considered. Each of those ideas would be fetched and placed at center of this circle. One particular idea is fetched and placed at the center of the circle. 8 new ideas are generated related to this central idea, which are to be discussed further. Okay. After these 8 ideas are generated, any one of these ideas would become the central idea, and new 8 ideas would be generated surrounding that one. This process continues until one of the two things happen. Either people are out of ideas, it can happen, how many ideas can you generate? Or the group leader is satisfied with the number of ideas he has got. He wants no more ideas. The management is satisfied, the group leader is satisfied, and they do not want any further ideas or any further discussion. Until and unless this process continues. This is a very important and very nice process for innovating with new ideas. Okay, that was everything about brainstorming. But brainstorming suffers some disadvantages. Yes, it is advantageous as it is very easy technique, but it suffers from disadvantages too. What are the disadvantages? As everyone is present here and is talking with each other very freely, there is a possibility that one person might affect the decisions of other person. There can be a problem of favoritism where I like someone's idea because I like that someone. That someone is my friend, and that is why her idea is best, because she is my bestie. How can she be wrong? This can be the problem. The third problem can be you might feel the fear to put up on your ideas because there might be your superiors present who are giving out some idea and you're bound to accept their ideas instead of putting up your own. One more problem can occur where people having very less communication skills will not be able to present their ideas nicely or explain their ideas nicely, which would lead to their ideas being flushed out, though they can be very good. To make sure that all these problems minimize, we have our second group discussion technique, which is nominal group discussion technique. Here too, a group of people come together in a conference room. It can be our usual 6 to 12 people. They will come together in a conference room. They would sit, but they are not allowed to talk. Just sit there quietly. They would be sitting there quietly waiting for their group leader. Our group leader would arrive and would give out the purpose or the agenda of today's group discussion. Once he has put forward what is the problem of today's group discussion, each and every person would silently write down their ideas in a separate piece of paper. It can be their own piece of paper, flip chart, flip notes. It can be written inside tablet, mobile phone notes, whatever. But they would secretly write down their ideas or solution to the problems without showing anyone. Here we do not have a common blackboard. As in the brainstorming technique, we do not have a common blackboard or whiteboard. Here you would be writing down in your own piece of paper or in your own notes. Once everyone has written down their idea, then each one of them would be given an opportunity to explain their ideas at length using whatever medium they want, chart papers, presentations, whatever. But each one would stand up and speak about their idea. No one can question whenever that person is speaking. That person is bound to speak for whatever explanation he or she has planned. Once the person says that they are finished, the chance would be passed upon to the next person. Such thing happens in the circular manner of the entire panel. Once everyone has spoken, then the panel would be open for discussions, where the question answers take place, where each and everyone puts forward their opinions, their agreeableness or disagreeableness with others' points, etc. This discussion would continue until each one of them is ready for ranking the ideas. After they say that they have nothing left to discuss, the group leader would pass on separate envelopes to each one of them. They would rank all the ideas. Suppose there were 12 people, then there would be 12 ideas which would have been generated, 12 different ideas. These 12 people then would in their own envelope rank each of these 12 ideas, that which one is the best, which one is the worst. In the scale of 1 to 10, they would rank each of the 12 ideas. They would seal this paper inside the envelope and hand it over back to the group leader. Group leader at a later point of time would open this envelopes and would calculate which idea has won this group discussion. Okay, this is how a specific idea would be selected. This is advantageous because here you are not allowed to speak for high amount of time. There is less chances of being influenced by others' ideas or other decisions. There are less chances of others' ideas being copied. Okay, but here too there are some disadvantages. Disadvantages is due to mere presence of superiors. Obviously, some people would feel afraid just because their superiors are around. They would feel very much overwhelmed to put up their points. if their points are going against their superiors' ideas, because they are physically present there. Their physical presence obviously would create an impact. To make sure that this impact too doesn't consider or is lessened, we have our last technique of group discussions, which is Delphi technique. This is by far the best technique for organizational group discussions. Best in a sense that it is the most non-biased one, it is the most objective one, but it has its own disadvantages too. Let us first discuss the technique, and at the end I would tell you the disadvantages. Delphi technique takes place between the group members who are physically separated from each other. They might be geographically separated too. They might be in different cities, different countries, and even if they are in the same organization building, they are placed in different rooms for group discussions. They would not face each other or see each other. One participant is not at all aware about the other participants in this group discussion. There should be someone to connect all of these, right? That is our group leader. Our group leader is the central person who is in communication with each of these participants. Group leader would make sure that all the participants get to know that what the problem is. He would be on a video call with each of the participants, video call or a video conference, where the participants wouldn't be seeing each other, but the group leader is able to see all the participants. He would introduce the problem statement to this panel, and after explaining the problem at hand, he will give out a carefully designed questionnaire to these participants. What is a questionnaire now? Questionnaire is a set of paper where there is a list of questions which you need to answer. Here they will not discuss something freely because they are not physically present there. They will discuss by answering the same questions. These questions are designed very carefully by the organizational members. It would be having set of questions which can be yes-no questions, which can be ranking questions, which can be descriptive questions, short questions, MCQs, etc. It is just like a feedback form which you would have seen. Say feedback form for a car. How is the color? How is the mileage? How are other additional benefits, etc. So students, a carefully designed questionnaire is given to all of these members by the group leader. These members will again very consciously and cautiously fill out this questionnaire and give it back to our group leader. Group leader at the central location will compile this questionnaire, get it transcribed and reproduced. At the end, he would compile the results of these questionnaires, which would be an average of all the answers which he has got from different panel members. This compiled evaluation of this questionnaire, which is the results of this questionnaire, is presented and given to all the group members. Once they get to know the results of first questionnaire, based upon this, our team leader would design a second questionnaire which is more detailed compared to first questionnaire, which can have some different questions, some different options. The depth of the questions might vary. Dependent upon the answers of first questionnaire, the second questionnaire will be designed. This questionnaire is again administered to our group members and they would fill it out. The process will continue until and unless the group reaches a consensus or a conclusion. There must be a meeting point of entire group members which would be decided by the group leader. Once each one of them agree or their answers are exactly same or at least similar in nature, the discussion would stop. As I told you, this technique too suffers some disadvantages. First disadvantage is it is very costly process because it continues for a long amount of time. This also is a disadvantage, that it continues for a long amount of time. If you have very short time at your hand, then you must use brainstorming or nominal group technique. If you have high amount of time, you can use Delphi technique. The technique is costly because as you would be using experts here to discuss about a particular problem, there is a possibility that they would charge higher money. As they are geographically dispersed, again they would charge higher money. This is the costliest of process and most time consuming but most objective. Here the results are guaranteed to be objective in nature. So this is the best technique in that way, but not if you have less time and if you are tight on budget. That was all about different types of organizational group discussion. We would be talking about other category in the next lecture. Until then, thank you so much for listening to me. This is Dhruvi signing off. Until next time. Bye-bye.